And I'm sure people would disagree with me. Probably none of my listeners, because I might be the only one that's like really into these comic books. And of course, this podcast never started out as a comic book thing, but comic books, which has nothing to do with the podcast name at all. But maybe I will kind of add it into there, because this is something that, like, I'll tell you guys, every fucking Friday for the past going on like 2.5 months now, I stop by the comic book store, and it's I Like Comics in downtown Vancouver. Shout out to Chris, Mark, Colin. You guys are awesome. You guys run a really cool shop. And I go in there and I'm just amazed by the storylines you can find. So one of which I just picked up Friday, written by Hickman and drawn by Pitara. I guess Jonathan Hickman's like pretty well known. He did Kick-Ass, I think. So if you've ever seen the movie, you can thank the guy who wrote this as well. But Manhattan Projects is basically a fictional telling of like Oppenheimer and Feynman and Einstein, and Enrico, like what the Manhattan Project actually was. Like, and there's a lot of like really fucked up stories in here. Like Oppenheimer isn't actually Oppenheimer. I don't want to do any spoilers, but I just finished it today, and today's Sunday. So I just picked it up Friday, finished it today, volume 1 out of 6. And, I'm obsessed. This series was written from 2012 to 2015. So not a super long run, but like a decent run. It had 6 volumes. I think it's, like 30 issues, 36 issues of floppies. So that's pretty cool. Like it did all right. And of course it's published by Image. I am almost exclusively an Image guy. I didn't pick up my, didn't mean to hit the mic, but I didn't go and grab the Batman Beyonds that I got, the DC Batman Beyonds. That was a resurgence of Batman Beyond and Neo Gotham, which I started it. I bought the whole, like literally the whole series for like $30, and really hard to get through because I haven't read any DC comics. I haven't read any Neo Gotham era like setting for the DC universe. So I have no idea what the fuck's going on. So that one's going to take me a minute. Once I've kind of gotten through it, I will share what I think about it. But definitely, if you guys are into like science and like science fiction, pick this up. It's a fucking badass comic. And I'm really excited to read the rest of this series. So for my sci-fi nerds, you guys would love this. I'm huge into Robert Kirkman. I absolutely love basically everything he's touched. He's known for The Walking Dead, Invincible, Oblivion, and Firepower. So this is kind of like a relatively newer one that I think is still ongoing. And then Chris Samnee, he was responsible for Daredevil, for drawing and coloring Daredevil. And Oblivion Song, sorry, is Robert Kirkman. This is basically like, if you like martial arts and you kind of like an underdog story, pick this up. It's fucking badass. I have volume 2 and 3 as well. I'm getting through volume 2. I picked it up a couple weeks ago, but I've been obsessed with Invincible, so I've been reading more of that and trying to get through the Batman Beyond. And I picked up volume 3 this past Friday, but the artwork in this is absolutely stunning. It's humorous. There's a lot of badass action scenes, which were kind of hard to like, I don't know, like digest a little bit, like kind of navigate, kind of follow along. But it's absolutely stunning. So if you're already a fan of Robert Kirkman, who's an amazing writer and creator, pick this up. This is a really good story of kind of like a man who is just a badass martial artist, kind of an unbecoming one, like, or not unbecoming, like an unsuspecting one. Or like, holy fuck. And this old man, I can't remember his name right now, but he's fucking badass. Wears fucking collects like vintage Jordans and lives in the mountains somewhere. So, and then a new series that just got approved, also Image Comics. All of these are Image Comics, all of them. They're based in Portland. That's not the reason why I'm into them. I think they have more of a diverse selection of stories, and they're not all superhero shit like Marvel and DC. So I'm really into their stuff. Um, so if you watch Game of Thrones, how do you say her name? Daenerys? Yeah, Daenerys, the Queen of Dragons. Emilia Clarke plays her. Well, I just read the back like letter that she writes to the readers, and it was like, hey, like, bet you didn't like expect me to write a comic book. I didn't either. I wasn't into comic books until, because of Game of Thrones, for years she was traveling to comic conventions, doing panels, signing autographs, taking pictures with fans. And she said, you don't surround yourself with like in that environment without picking up a floppy or two and getting into those stories. And so that inspired her to write a comic book herself called Mother of Madness. And it is, if you know Emilia Clarke, she's like pretty heavy feminist. She's all about women power. She's all about equity. And it really shows in this storyline. This storyline was actually really hard for me to get through. And I was kind of expecting that for someone who like didn't grow up practicing writing comics and creating comics. She does have a co-writer. I think it's Marguerite Bennett. And basically the entire creative team in this are women. So that's kind of badass. But it was a little hard to get through, but the panel art in this is absolutely stunning. It just came out. They're in these like giant, like 44 page. You can see how thick that is for people who are watching this on YouTube, which this will be uploaded this coming week. You're hearing the audio probably Sunday night or Monday, and the YouTube video should be out like Monday or Tuesday. But holy fuck. Like that's a thick fucking floppy. I think it's like 44, 45 pages. Most floppies are probably like 15, maybe 20. And she was approved and created 3 floppies. So it's a limited release. Cool story arc about basically just a badass mother who has these like powers that are based off of her emotion. Like when she gets scared, she gets invisible. When she's happy, she's like a slinky and like she stretches out. When she's what is it? When she sings, she like breaks glass, like it's like or laughs or something like that. Like all of her powers are basically based off of her emotions. And then she has the peakness, which is all of them together. They combine, and she's like this like badass supernatural being. So it's really interesting. It's interesting what Clark did as far as like empowering a woman. I mean, she definitely said that what inspired her to make it so feminist was that going to these conventions, what did you see? You saw a ridiculous ratio of men superheroes versus women superheroes. And she's like, I think it's about time that we not only make a woman superhero, but a woman superhero who is a mother. So that's what this is. It'll be interesting to see what else she comes out with. These are first editions, so you best believe I'm gonna be like trying to keep these intact, and I'm gonna collect all 3 of them and make sure that they stay in good condition, because this might be my first comic book that in 20 or 30 years could be a priceless collectible. So I'm excited. Thank you, Emilia Clarke, for getting into comics when I got into comics. And then last but certainly not least, another Kirkman great, Invincible. So I am halfway through this series and I'm absolutely in love. I'm in love with this story arc. I wish it never ended. Invincible really is, like, in my opinion, the best superhero story ever told. Like, pound for pound. Obviously, I haven't read a lot of comic books, but I've seen all of the comic book related superhero movies. I've seen them all. I've seen all the Marvel movies, all the DC movies. I've seen them all. This by far is the best superhero story arc.